welcome to Correro, the big conversation table. I am Godwin Sunday. Today will be my searchlight again to Osun State, the state that marks the closure of off-cycle election for the year 2026. I will take a short break and we will return where we will begin the conversation from this point. Please stay with us. Nigeria's 2026 off-cycle elections have provided an important political electoral test ahead of the 2027 general elections. The elections in the Federal Capital Territory area councils, the Ekiti State and Osun State differed in scale and political dynamics, but together they offered a useful picture of voters' behavior, party strength, electoral technology, campaign strategies, and the credibility of Nigeria's democratic process. The Osun governorship election was held on the 15th of August 2026, completing the major sequence of 2026 off-cycle governorship elections. However, the process also attracted concerns over Beaver's functionality, allegations of vote buying, and incidents of violence. FCT demonstrated the importance of grassroots control. Ekiti reinforced the strength of incumbency, while Osun demonstrated that a well-organized opposition can remain highly competitive. Together, they provide perhaps the clearest electoral preview of the political battles that lies ahead in 2027. Tonight on Correro, we will examine the off-cycle election, and with me in the studio to do all of this conversation, I have with me Chief M.O. Shitu, a public affairs analyst, and Comrade Suleiman Adekunle Yusuf, a political analyst and a community communicator. Gentlemen, you're welcome to Correro. Good evening.
Good evening. Good to be with you.
Well, let's even begin with Chief Shitu. Off-cycle elections have come and gone. Osun State marked the tail of off-cycle elections in Nigeria. But looking at the off-cycle elections, even from Anambra through to Ekiti, down to FCT, and right now Osun State, they have different technicalities, different modalities. Help us, even how will you even assess the off-cycle elections so far in Nigeria? And if you're to scale it, how will you rate it in a scale of 1 to 10?
1 to 10. If I'm to do that rating, I will give us from 9 over 10.
What about Anambra, Ekiti?
No.
And also the FCT?
They woefully failed compared to what Osun did, compared to the performance of Osun State. So Ekiti and Anambra were nowhere to be found.
Well, Suleiman, let's come to you. Looking at the elections, off-cycle elections again in Nigeria, a lot of people will say that this is a litmus test for what is to come in the year 2027. But from your own perspective, do you agree with these assertions?
Yeah, I agree with it, because these Osun elections have shown Nigeria what we think it's not possible. I mean, what's this? With what happened in Osun, I think the replications of the same will happen come 2027 general elections. Because with this, we can believe that if opposition's party comes up with a unique strategies, I mean, mobilizing the grassroots, I mean, we are going to have exactly what we have in 2027 compared to what we have in the concluded Osun State election.
So by implication, does this imply that the Anambra State election, the Ekiti State election, the FCT election, the oppositions were not prepared for that election?
Of course.
Is that the implication?
Of course.
So the opposition all of a sudden they got awake with the Osun State election?
The oppositions seems to be coming with a narration of exactly what happens in Osun. If we are to take the result of what exactly we get from Osun, it will enable all other opposition's party to get prepared ahead the forthcoming general elections. If they can do this, I mean, the oppositions will triumph. Because the elections that comes up in Osun shows that the oppositions should have to prepare it. They have to prepare it. If a delegate could just comes up one day and goes to a party, we cannot even think he could win a local government elections and contest it. That means he does his primary assignment. So if other opposition party can do the same, comes 2027 general election, I mean, we're on a platter of gold.
Well, Chief, there is one thing that is very common with all of the off-cycle elections, and that is the issue around vote buying. Now, in a number of states, we saw what played out. The EFCC even picked up a few persons. Yes. In the FCT election, we saw a case of vote buying, even in Gwagwalada Area Council. The Ekiti State election, we also saw what played out. Even in the Osun State election, there were also issues around vote buying. If vote buying is now taking the central stage in Nigerian political system, will the vote buying be replicated again come 2027?
Definitely, that will happen. And you see, the major thing that could stop vote buying in Nigeria is if the voters stop and believe that they don't need to sell their conscience. But as long as voters depend on I'm going to vote and I will be paid, then definitely there will always be vote buying. But one thing that impressed me with this opportunity is they took money. There are a lot of videos online. You see they took 30,000, 250,000, 200,000, but they ensure they vote against the government that gave them that money, against the sitting government that gave them money that tries to buy their votes. So if you have at least some few states, a large number of people who do this, it should control vote buying to a very large scale and decimate it. You understand? Once they know it's not working, because that vote buying now fails to work for APC in Osun State. That's what it means. If they can pay as much as 50,000, 100,000 per voter, with all those expenses they lost. So it tells them, and it tells each and every one of us, that vote buying is gradually going to an end.
But Chief, with this case of vote buying, the likes of Peter Obi, who was branded himself as a person that does not give shishi, and we are entering into a political season where vote buying is taking the central stage. Does Peter Obi stand a chance come 2027?
You see, the truth is, Peter Obi is the most credible, most qualified, most competent candidate among all the presidential candidates we have for 2027.
But he does not give shishi.
You see, this is where his misinterpretation. Peter Obi doesn't spend recklessly. He doesn't spend fraudulently. He doesn't use his money to encourage or to empower impunity. He spends his money, his resources to things that are meaningful, developing education. He has been to places, giving a lot of schools, higher institutions, College of Nurses, 25 million, 10 million, you say no, they give shishi. You understand? An individual is not on seat. He's not a sitting senator, he's not a sitting governor, he's not a sitting president. But he has been spending tens of millions on a weekly basis within the length and breadth of this country. So then we are not saying he's not giving shishi. It is not the money that voters get on the election day that matters to them.
What I'm asking, because on the polling units, we saw various party agents try to, they don't longer call it vote buying. They say they try to give you a stipend for your transportation. They call it thank you for coming fee. That was the name that was used across various polling units. Thanks for coming. They take a stipend for thanks for coming to vote. Now Peter Obi will not go this route. And if it will not go this route, it means that there's a tendency that the party agents will not be able to give the thanks for coming, which has become like a norm in the various off-cycle election. With this in mind, is there light at the end of the tunnel for Peter?
There is. You see, one thing with Peter Obi is you'll be going through the last 2023 elections. There was no way any party agent or any voter was arrested on the basis of vote buying through Labour Party then. That is true Peter Obi. So, and it is certain Peter Obi has an organic movement, the obedient movement. We believe in the rule of law, we believe in doing the right thing. Even if Peter Obi himself comes up today to do otherwise, this same movement, the obedient movement, will attack Peter Obi himself. That is the difference in that obedient movement to any other movement you can think of as a support group. So the obedient movement align with Peter Obi because they know he's a disciplined person. He's prudent in his spending. So it is not possible P2B can never be involved in vote buying. P2B keep on saying, please, please don't rig election for me. Don't add one vote to favor me. He keeps saying it even during the last presidential election. And he has been saying this, presently now he's saying the same thing. Presently he's saying the same thing, that he doesn't want anybody, don't even buy votes.
You think he is not a serious politician?
Why do you say that?
Well, if he's not giving shishi, and the trend right now, I've mentioned four
Why
states.
should we celebrate?
I've mentioned four states that is becoming a trend in Nigerian body politics.
Why should we celebrate?
Let me allow Chief to hold his stuff there.
Why do we always celebrate impunity? Somebody buying votes, bribing people is a criminal offense. Such a person deserves to be arrested and prosecuted. You understand? P2B is the only politician in the history of this country that has clear record, clean slate. No any criminal record, no any criminal allegation, no court before any case of before any court of law. His credentials, everything are traceable, verifiable. He has a schoolmate from his primary school to his university. You understand? These are the kind of credible people we want to be at the hands of our peer to run this country, so that we have a new country, we have a new Nigeria.
All right, Chief. Let me come to you, Suleiman Adekunle. Okay. Now, looking at the off-cycle elections, in the FCT, we have quite a number of registered voters. In Osun, handful of registered voters. Same thing in Anambra and Ekiti. Now, when it has to do with the elections, the turnout tend to dwindle. A lot of people will not come out to vote. Looking at 2027 ahead, is this going to be the picture of what we're going to be seeing, where we have massive registered voters, but the outcome of the vote and the people that will participate in the election will be a little bit reduced? Is that what we're going to be seeing 2027 from your political lens?
No. Yes, we should look this from this perspective. If we have the voters have it at the back of their minds that even if they go out to vote, at the end of the day, the government in seat knows exactly what to do. So these give the masses that very relenting effort not to pull out for elections. But if they have that in their minds, you see these Osun elections give a full insight. You see, they say people were even at the point of votes, even before the electorals, before those who are going to conduct the elections. They waited for them. So this is exactly what I think we have to sensitize the masses. No matter what they might think at the end, they should first come out in mass to vote. Because having it at the back of our minds that even if we voted, our vote will not count, that's exactly what we have at the back of their minds. That even if we go there, you see youths at the day of elections, they went to field, go and play football. Instead of them, they didn't see it as a right. The commoners Nigerians who thinks that the system is not working for him, he will just think going to vote is just a waste of time, which is not. Which is absolutely not. What happened in Osun, it will give a common Nigerians an insight that we just have, voting is just our right. It's just our right. It's just exactly what we tend to give us. At least it's mandatory, I must do this, to have a Nigerian that works for the masses. So with this, I think in the issues as regard this, my thinking is that Osuns believe that if they goes out in mass, voted, and they sees a way how to protect their vote, are you getting me now? By counting, and at the same time, they follows it to the duly place for their votes to be announced. So I think we should do the same thing. Why not? We should be able to, have it at the back of our minds that our vote has to be counted.
Chief, if you monitor the various off-cycle elections that we've had so far, again, one thing I've stood out, and that is the fact that Ekiti and also Anambra State, they celebrated the power of incumbency, where the incumbent took the central stage. Now, there have been speculations also. Even earlier today, the FCT minister made a boast that this election, come 2027, is a walkover for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I can see that you're already smiling. Now let's even look at the power of incumbency that has tended to characterize two states, even in the off-cycle elections. We wouldn't say it characterized Osun State because Osun State was a very tough election. Adeleke got value for his money, if you ask me. But then, looking at the power of the incumbency, should Nigerians be worried that the power of incumbency will be replicated come 2027, or we should turn a blind eye to the power of incumbency?
You see, as long as this APC government remains on seat, as far as Tinubu is so desperate and is ready to go to any length to come back to power, but we, opposition, will not allow that. It is a must. The government of the day felt it is a must for them to use all apparatus of the government against the opposition. That is why you see opposition is no longer strong in this country. But what happened in Osun is just a blueprint. It's a blueprint, and that tells us that the voice of the masses supersedes that of the sitting government, no matter how powerful that government is. The voice of the masses, once the masses made up their mind that yes, we are going out to source for our freedom, it is a fight. 2027 election is not about Tinubu, it is not about NDC, it is not about Peter Obi, it is not about Atiku, it is about our survival. So we are going out with our full chest. We'll vote, we'll make sure our vote counts, and we'll protect our votes, and we'll make sure all manners of rigging are decimated to the lowest level. We won't allow the government. What happened in FCT, Ekiti, was the government using lawless apparatus against opposition to suppress the opposition, to threaten the voters. And people felt threatened. People went in. Those who came out to vote, after casting their vote, a large number of them went back home. And so doing so, they left that vacuum for the government to succeed in rigging. But you saw what happened in Osun. We also saw what happened in Osun. People came out. They were outside even before the INEC officials came. The INEC officials came, met them already on the field. And they ensured they investigated everything, checked all the ballot papers, ensured it was duly completed. They casted their vote. They remained there. Even at the time when live ammunition were being shot to scare them, they failed to run away because they wanted to protect their vote and ensure that their vote counts. And at the end of the day, there was light at the end of the tunnel for them in Osun. So I'm assuring you, 2027 it's not the regular voting system, you know. It's not the regular way we come out, we vote and go. No. We don't even want to believe in the due process of going through litigation.
So you believe that power of incumbency will not play out? It
will play out, but we'll make sure that we resist that at all costs. We'll not allow them to succeed in using that to rig the election. That will not happen, I can assure you.
Well, 6 months to almost less than 6 months to the election.
Just like I told you, that election, it is not about those contesting. It is about the survival of we Nigerians and the generation to come.
Well, a lot of Nigerians will say that Chief Shittu is speaking for himself and not speaking for the...
And those are the clueless ones, the corrupt ones who have such mind.
We can't
but those who have clear conscience, who want to put Nigeria...
We can't say they are corrupt in this case. Because
the only person you see celebrating...
Freedom of thought, religious and
celebrating the present
is
situation we find ourselves in this country.
Chapter 38 of Nigerian Constitution. So we won't say that. See them thinking otherwise.
See, you keep on talking. You see, now all these things are they take it this country. Constitution. But when they steal money and are those with the power, the Constitution does, you know, they hold them. Now, common man with the road, we steal 1,009, they go prison. So why are we deceiving ourselves in this country? We will not continue to be enslaved in our country. So 2027 is going to be a fight for freedom. That's a fact.
Well, let's come to you, comrade. Okay. Looking at the off-cycle elections, the dominant opposition party, like the People's Democratic Party, the ADC, the NDC, the AAC, and a few other opposition political parties, tend to be making just a few numbers when it has to do with the compilation of results. We saw what played out in Ekiti State. The opposition was literally nowhere to be found. Same thing played out in Anambra State. Same thing has played out in the FCT, where there was an overturn of outcome. PDP won only just a seat in the FCT. And APC took over all orders safe. Now, Osun State election has come and gone. We're seeing almost a replica of the same thing. Now, looking at the off-cycle elections, what do you make of all of these developments in line with this conversation?
Yeah, what we can say is about this is this. You know, what happens in all these states we're mentioning is probably because those opposition's party are not strong enough. Strong in what sense? Let's take these Osun's elections as a case study. Now, if we might to take it, a court party is nowhere to be found. If not that, a delegate kick to the party to contest in that party. Now, any political party who tends to comes up with a candidate have to do their own primary assignment. They have to do their own primary assignment. The problem we're having in this very country is that we neglected all those opposition parties, like things and minds that they are nowhere to be found. And the masses, we have the problem. We have the problem in the sense that if not this APC or PDP, with times there is no any other political party. And what we tend to look into is that, the political parties are just a platform through which a politician contested an elections. We should look how credible the candidate is. The candidate that is conducting that is contesting that for that positions. If this can be done by the masses, I think comes the comings of general election. I mean the opposition.
But do you think, in the light of this conversation, do you think that the opposition political parties are ready for looking at what has played out in the
2027 elections?
Do you think the
2027 is not just
political parties
about
are ready?
No, it's not about opposition. It is about Nigeria. It is about Nigeria that their life is no longer secure.
The political party
is about Nigeria that no longer pay their bills.
Is the vehicle that would drive and enforce all of these modalities that you're talking about.
You see what, please, please. Do you know that what happened in Osun is beyond our court party?
Of course.
Those people who came out to defend their vote, majority of them are not card-carrying members
of any political party.
It is the citizen that stood against intimidation, that no, they cannot be enslaved within their state. And that's why I told you that what happened in Osun is just a blueprint of what will happen come 2027. 2027 is not an election between any political party you can think of. It is an election between Tinubu and Nigerians.
And you think Nigerians are ready for that?
We are.
We're looking at the narratives right now, where politics in Nigeria is tilted towards ethnic lines. People tend to fall back.
I'm a Yoruba man. I'm a Muslim.
People tend to
and I've supported P2B, and I'm still supporting him.
People tend to tilt towards religious background. Put all of this together. You're talking about yourself as being a Yoruba man, but then this spread across the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. We have people with different ideologies, different political philosophies, and this forms the political cultures in Nigeria, both cognitive, affective, and evaluative orientations within the political landscape. Now, if you go by all of this narrative and see what has played out in the various political parties that we have in the country in the off-cycle elections, can we say for sure right now on this table that opposition parties are well equipped, are ready to even stand and contest in a free and fair election if given the opportunities? Are opposition parties ready?
The opposition party, you see, we have only 2 opposition parties in Nigeria. Just 2. You understand? That is the NDC and others.
Well, all right. Let me allow that to be a figure of speech.
That's the reality.
No, let me
are you not talking of ADC that are facing series of litigation before the court of law, or PDP that will today be at the court of appeal, tomorrow be at the Supreme Court for series of court judgments? They now do expect that party to move. Then do you call those parties an opposition party? Let's be sincere with ourselves. Let's call it spade a spade. The only opposition in Nigeria of today is Peter Obi. I stand to be corrected. And Peter Obi is flying through the NDC. And that's why I said we have only 2 opposition in this country. That is NDC and others. We are sincerely prepared for the battle ahead of us come 2027.
Even though the NDC does not have a structure when it has to do
Who told you that NDC has no
when we
structure?
look at the NDC and its structure from its
the poor men of this country,
you will agree with me, Chief
the poor men of this country are the structure.
Chief Shitu, you
those
agree
who
with
the
me,
sitting government cannot protect their life, protect their properties, are the structures.
774 local governments in the country do not have an effective representation from the NDC. You agree with me on this? Now, that is just NDC on the one.
You see, these
hand.
are areas.
On the other hand,
these are areas where we make mistakes.
You know that we need to have party agents across all the wards and all polling units. The NDC, it's just a few months to the election. Is the NDC structurally prepared?
How old is NDC, if I may ask you?
Just a few months old.
Good. Now, you can see the strength of that party.
I made it somewhere, Chief Shitu.
Okay.
Now, not just NDC. You've talked about NDC, so I'm trying to look at the NDC.
Okay.
Also, we have the same thing with the ADC. We have the same thing playing out even right now with the People's Democratic Party. We have the same thing playing out with the AAC and a few other political parties, not even forgetting the DLA political party and a few others. No, Labour Party, let's not take Labour Party also because Labour Party is still there, still running. But then looking at all of this structure, this was one of the reasons why people said that Obi lost the 2023 election because Labour Party lacked effective structure. When we go by that narrative and look at minority political parties or not too popular political parties in Nigeria right now, do you think that opposition party can withstand the political narratives?
Let me put this to
come
you.
2027.
Let me put this to you. Obi won the 2023 election, but it was rigged out.
Well, let's allege that.
He was rigged out.
Because by the Supreme Court,
So,
yes.
It was rigged out. So now it is clear. It is not, look, the mistake we make mostly in this country is that we believe in the party structure too much. Politicians, we are numbered. Just think of any party you can, even if it is APC, PDP, think of any political party. We are numbers and we are just 1% of the total masses of the citizens of this country. Just 1%. Now, I'm a party member. You understand? My vote is only one. I don't know if you are getting me right. There are 1,001 citizens who are not even card-carrying members of any political parties, but they are Nigerian citizens. They want a good country. They want a country that works for them, that they are ready to come out and cast their vote and defend their vote. And that was exactly what happened in Osun. How many of those people have Accord Party membership card? Accord Party is not a party that is even strong enough in this country. You understand? It is not a victory for Accord. It is not a victory for the governor of Osun. It is a victory for the people of Osun State because they were able to get what they want. You understand? Despite the billions, about 60 billions were said to have been committed into Osun through APC, 60 billion naira, and they couldn't win. So that spells volumes of what 2027 will be.
Well, let's take that to be an empowerment for the youth. So let's get you react to all of this because I saw that you wanted to.
Sincerely speaking, when we're talking about political party, our strengths are these and that. Let's compare the number of those who call themselves politicians to the masses. If we are to compare it, we are not even to 2.5%. When Nigerians is ready
to take their country back,
they will. And that is exactly what happened in Australia.
But for now, we are not ready.
We are. Nigerians are ready.
Nigerians are ready.
Nigerians don't want to buy a loaf of bread. Presently, knows how much a bag of rice is in the market.
Let's dive in this through this channel. I read an headline that the inflation has dropped about 15-point-something% and doesn't have a direct
value
to the price of commodities that we buy. Now tell me, is that any feeling in the cost of inflation? No. Nigerians of nowadays is deval. And I'm telling you, what happened is not shown has shown Nigeria what we think that is not possible. And with this, what happened in Osun, you will see replication of such will happen comes these general elections. If almost 25 governorship candidates can be in the state and they didn't win. And for the general election, each and every one of them has to maintain their state. The worst would even happen come 2027 general election because Nigerians, the masses is the masses is complaining bitterly day in day out. I read this morning that almost 200 lecturers resigned. What do you think could be? What do you think will be at the end of their march? Are they going to vote this government again? Those who voluntarily resigning their job because it's not paying them. So come 2027 general election, it will be a war against the masses and the system.
And the political class.
Yes, and the system.
Let's talk about the off-cycle election, Chief. There is one trend that has been peculiar to all the off-cycle election, and that is the fact that politicians, you are in the political class, and I think politicians have upgraded their game right now, and now politicians have now moved from, instead of giving money, they now start giving bags of rice and other food ingredients to the electorate. And this is not just peculiar to the Anambra State election. We saw the same thing play out in the FCT. We saw the same thing play out in Ekiti and also in Osun State. If this is the trend where politicians right now are metamorphosed from cash giving into food items distribution, should Nigerians be worried, or should Nigerians be prepared and arm themselves that come 2027 enough food will be in surplus, and as such Nigerians will be well fed? Help us even paint a picture of what to see come 2027 in terms of the distribution of food items by the whole political class.
You see, it's quite unfortunate that in this country we still find people who believe in collecting food, collecting Ankara before they could cast their vote. But as far as we are concerned, that will no longer, it will be decimated. It will be controlled. The government is not ready to control it. But we are propelling people, and we are ensuring, telling voters that, look, if they bring it to you, collect it, but don't cast your vote for them, because they are corrupt. For somebody to bring money and buy your conscience, buy your vote, means that person does not have anything.
But that would be a betrayal of trust, even on your part, for collecting and not voting.
How does it become a betrayal of trust?
You took it and you refused to discharge what you took it for.
Those that are there, that we voted in, have they not betrayed our own trust?
So is this what we're going to be seeing come 2027? Should we be afraid?
You see, like I have said, I will continue to make reference to that of Osun. Osun State, despite that 60 billion naira, that's a huge amount of money spent. The Senate president was on ground. 30 commissioner of police was on ground in just a state, just one state, 30 commissioner of police. You understand? For you to see how this government ridiculed the Nigerian policing system. For just a state election, you have a commissioner of police, not be small rank for police. Now have them there, and with all those resources, the people feel to be intimidated. They ensure their vote counts. And that is exactly what Nigerians will do come 2027. The issue of vote buying is not something that will go one day. It will take a drastic step to be eliminated. And with what happened in Osun, even the politicians must have, the APC must have learned one or two lessons, and all other politicians, all other political parties that are involved in vote buying, that vote buying does not help them to win election in Osun. So if 12 to 15 states can just do exactly what Osun has done, forget it, by 12 p.m. on election day 2027, Tinubu is going back to Lagos.
Well, Chief, let's talk about the electionary processes in Nigeria. Now, Osun election for a lot of persons was an eye-opening exercise for a lot of persons. Now, firstly, because we've seen the elderly people coming out in mass to cast their votes. Even at a point, the aged people were saying that they are not going anywhere, they must cast their votes. Some of them, their fingerprints were no longer showing because they are above 100. And as such, you know, the nature has a way of taking its own course. But then it is what played out. But then I think INEC did not make enough provision for all of this. Come 2027, Chief, with all of this, let me even bring this to you since you are more of a community communicator. Looking at the aged people in the community, should we be worried come 2027 that they might be disenfranchised if provisions are not made, just like what we've seen play out in the various off-cycle elections, even using Osun as a case study?
Yes, this is what the political parties have to race to. They have to race to their occasions. Being a Nigerian, you should have a right to cast your vote, irrespective of what might be the issue hinders you. In as much as you are an eligible voters and you have registered initially, I mean, they have their ways. We have these manuals. I mean, that is always pasted before the day of elections. Once all these ages, you cannot. This is exactly what you cannot deal with. Age, it has to come. So all these ages people, at least from the manual, if you can go through the manual and you can see they are registered voters, I mean, you should just make use of the manual in order them to exercise their own rights.
Should we begin to talk about creating special lines or queue for them, or because people with disabilities also were confronted with all of these challenges in the off-cycle elections?
Of course,
should Nigerians be worried come 2027 that a lot of these persons might be disenfranchised going with the time frame
we should be worried.
scheduled for the election?
Nigerians should be worried. And you see, part of the reason why all this is happening is because the INEC is not independent enough. Frankly speaking, the INEC is not independent enough. And Nigerians should be worried. All opposition parties should be worried.
Chief, what do you mean by INEC is not independent enough? I'm lost in thought.
Why will INEC always come up with something like glitch, or at the middle or at the tail end of election? Once they see an opposition, once they see opposition winning, they stop uploading results. Why? And they want to put it or they want to put the report on network. You understand? We have series of networks. So why will INEC, with the billions of naira, trillions of naira that is being budgeted, they have access to money, the federal government has given them more than enough money to ensure everything is intact. But the INEC is, I'm saying it and I'm saying it loud and clear, the INEC is not independent. Even a country where the sitting president will instruct the EFCC, a federal government, an agency, say go and withdraw that case. It happened in Osun when the EFCC frozen Osun State account. Tinubu came out and said no, drop that charges. To understand, constitutionally, the sitting president does not have right to stop the EFCC from doing their function. The EFCC is expected to be independent. So if that could happen within the EFCC, we have seen it. Then what stops INEC?
But the president is the commander in charge.
What happened in FCT, the election?
Commander in charge.
The election in the area council election in FCT were manipulated. All government agencies and apparatus were used to suppress the opposition.
Well, Chief, we don't have that fact. We can't say for sure.
We are politicians. We have the facts.
Oh, all right.
That's it.
All right. So let me leave Chief with the facts on that conversation. But then let me return back to you, Adekunle. Okay. Now, looking at the various off-cycle elections, again, one trend tends to also has taken the central stage, and that is the fact that on the day of elections, Nigerians tend to see that day as a day to relax, a day to play football, a day to visit friends, and a day to hang out. That has become like a recurring phenomenon,
of course,
and a common decimal factor in the Nigerian body politics. We are going and looking at the 2027 elections. Will this trend persist?
No, it will not. The reason why I say this is that the common Nigerians want a system that works for them. And I think this is the right time. We have to sensitize our people that if we didn't partake in the exercise, we will continue governing by our own inferior. So what we have to raise to our occasions. I mean, by sensitizing, by mobilizing people that on the day of the elections, there is a need for them to look into what happens in Osun. Osun's case is just, I mean, let me say, is just what Nigerian thinks is not possible. It has come to light. And from this, the replications of such will happen in diverse states. Comes 2027 general elections. More than more than what happens in Osun will happen because we now believe. This is what I told people. The mindset of the commoners is that they will go to vote and their phones will all count. But you can see what happened in Osun now. Our vote has begun to count in this country.
Well, let me allow you here and take you to the subnational levels right now, where we can even begin the conversation from Kwara State. Now, it is being said that the NDC as a political party and other opposition political parties are very strong at the national, but dead at the subnational level. Beginning with the NDC, that the NDC does not have a footage, even in Kwara State, that the NDC is dead on arrival when it has to do with the ballot box come 2027 in Kwara State. But we'll look at the strength of the NDC beginning from Kwara State. Chief, how will you react to the fact that the NDC is dead on arrival in Kwara State?
The fact on ground is that NDC is well rooted in Kwara State, strong, viable. The gubernatorial candidate in Kwara State is a professor. And somebody is telling you have a professor as a candidate contesting, Professor Abdimumuni or Layinka Ajia. You understand? They will now tell you that that party is not recognized or is not on seat.
And the party is dead on arrival.
That
the NDC is dead on arrival.
No.
NDC does not command any authority in Kwara State. That's why people are running back to PDP and pleading and begging the likes of
when
people are begging
when we have the G15 negotiating, when we have the G15 negotiating
to take over power,
when the G15 are negotiating with the NDC negotiating with the PDP.
You're saying that NDC has a footage in Kwara State. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So you're saying that the whole outburst and outcry on socials saying that the Otonge movement and people begging Saraki to revive and revitalize the People's Democratic Party in order for the party to take the central stage in Kwara State, because they benefited more when PDP was in charge than right now when APC is in charge. Now, these are all coming from Kwara State, and these are all statements on socials, various social media handles coming from indigents of Kwara State. That NDC is nowhere to be found in the conversation. Chief, you're saying that NDC is holding a strong footage in Kwara State. Now, when we look at the NDC in Kwara State and try to even tie the conversation to the various ward levels in Kwara State, how formidable is NDC at the ward level in Kwara State?
Across all wards in Kwara State, the NDC has their party secretariats, they hold their meeting weekly and periodically. The party is strong, you understand? Whoever tells you this is just me and say they don't have that fact. If I have known this to be a topic, I will at least have about few registers of the party that I will have sent to you so that you display it on the screen and all Nigerians will see that NDC is well rooted. We have all our candidates, all the House of Rep, 3 senatorial districts. We have credible people who are grassroots politicians.
And you think they're not placeholders?
No.
As has been said. The NDC has a lot of placeholders in Kwara State.
Yeah, let me dive into this place.
What matters most in any election you are going are those who are the grassroots, who have supporters. If you have your money and you are not on ground, you won't win. So that is not even what matters. It is not all about money.
Let me allow Adekule to dive into the conversation.
Let me dive into the...
He has been eager to want to...
Don't let everybody go to
Please, let's get your take.
To be frank, when it comes to politics, these political social media brouhahas and this does not win elections.
Yeah.
And if you look NDC, it's just a premature party, and see the extent at which it grows. I thanks to be a member, a card-carrying member of NDC Kwara State chapter. I knows what it takes us. We have to go to the grassroots, not going on social media and beginning to shout. Because politics is local, you have to go to the grassroots. If we didn't do that and goes on social media and we begin to shout, that means we are dead. But we have to go to the grassroots. Let people know us. Let us have roots before we start all these social medias and all that. So I'm telling you this, in Kwara State, we have roots. And we need to come up with people of different mindsets. But these, you are talking about the APC, they are moving from the APC, they are going to the PDP. They are of the same thing. If you go to Kwara now, there is this very language they are using now. Back anyone. Yes, that they are the same.
Have they moved from Otonge to...
Yes, they are the
They
same.
moved from the Otonge to the...
So Bukola Saraki again, they are the same.
The slogan now is back
anyone.
That is, they are
So
the
they
same
are
thing.
the same of the. They are bird of the same feather. So they are just using this political party
NDC is the third force in Kwara State.
Yes.
A very strong one.
I'm telling you. So
Very
and
strong
which has started is rooted, and they are everywhere. Talk of what local government, even each and every polling units are made up every local government in Kwara, and this is exactly what a good politicians will do.
And you think if the election is to happen today, NDC will stand a chance to win even the councillorship position in Kwara State?
Sincerely speaking, I would love if the general elections will be tomorrow. I would just love that. If the general elections will be tomorrow.
You are saying that the NDC will win a councillorship. Because the conversation is that the NDC will not even see councillorship in Kwara State. Talk more of
that is mercy. You see, one advantage that the NDC has ahead of other political parties is that they have a very credible candidate, Peter Obi, and engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Konkoso. You understand? These are prominent Nigerians, these are prominent politicians. These are politicians who have added value to thousands of Nigerian citizens. You understand? So what they have done in the past is speaking for them. So they are the symbol of NDC. And as a symbol of the NDC, anywhere across the length and breadth of this country, men of conscience, the elite, will cast their vote for NDC.
And
even and that is why you see in Kwara State, like you said, you have a professor.
And when we even
as our candidate for the governorship election.
When we go back to Kwara now,
a very young professor, a very young, and he has been a politician for about 2 decades or 3 decades. He has been in active politics.
So we are having an head.
So if you think a professor will go to a party that is not well ground?
Well, Chief, because I'm missing that our time is fast spent. Let me even bring this to. Let's begin with Comrade Adekunle.
Okay.
If you were to correct something in the various off-cycle elections that we've had so far, even from the institutional perspective through to the field, what would be that one thing you would recommend that INEC should correct or the institutions should fix?
Okay. Now,
in 30 seconds.
The INEC tends to be the main body whom we think there are certain things they have to put in place. In what sense? I mean, a total record of the eligible voters who has registered initially, they should be given an opportunity irrespective of what might be the problem. In as much as they have the details, when we are talking about these age people and the likes of other people like those who are disabled, they should create an avenue for them in order then to exercise their own right. Because a vote to a common Nigerians, we should know that is our right, and we should be able to do that.
Thank you so much. Chief, the last word before we let you go, even on the same issue, what would be your recommendation for, based on the various off-cycle elections you've seen so far, what would you want the electoral umpire to correct?
What I want is that we should stand against all manners of corruption in the electioneering processes. That's all.
Well, Chief, we will definitely follow you to Kwara State and to test the strength of NDC.
You'll be surprised.
In Kwara State. Until then, I want to say thank you so much, gentlemen, for finding our time to be with us here on Corero.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a pleasant night.
Well, viewers, this is how far we can go tonight on the show. Do not forget that you can leave your thoughts, you can leave your comments on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen. And you can also follow us on the free TV app by downloading the free TV app from your Android and iOS devices just to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your night rest. Bye for now.